Welcome to the Elements of Spirit readings for the week of June 26th, 2017. This is the reading for the element of water, which includes the sun signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. If you haven't listened to the ether reading, go back and check that out now. The affirmation for ether was, I am here, here I am. I'm asserting my existence. I'm asserting that place where I am, because I am here on earth in this moment, oriented to the past and to the future. Here I am. And from this place, I continue to be, continue to exist. All about orientation, grounding, getting present, really. Not just centered, but present. Plugging into circumstances as they are, and how does this manifest for the water elements this week? Yeah. Okay. So it really is. So what lights up in the water elements for me is big time solar plexus, big time spleen, and then just this message that's like one thing at a time. One thing at a time, multiple obsessions, waters down, purposeful intent and actions through the dilution of fire. Because remember, even though you are primary water element, you have all of the other elements in you. None of these elements exist on this earth in a vacuum. They all are forming some combination of each other at all times within the space of the ether. So in your case, the spleen, solar plexus has to do with power, choice, self-concept. The spleen has to do with obsession, fixation, this sort of like almost unconscious massaging of your autonomic functions, of the things you do kind of impulsively or compulsively. So the idea here is that it's very easy for water signs to get into obsessive states, especially Scorps like moi, because it feels like a lot of action. It feels like so much action, even though it's really the same thing over and over and over again. And what the water is sort of showing me today is like, this is the point of the splenic obsession. This is the point kind of in the solar plexus and around the spleen that they were showing me acting up. And there's these tendrils that are bouncing off, which are the obsessions that we have right now. And this idea is multiple obsessions, water down purposeful intent and actions through the dilution of fire. The positive way of saying it is like, pick one obsession at a time and focus on it until it changes or you change. Okay? So that means like the other side of obsession, the sort of higher vibration of obsession, is focus, is concentration. I can't remember if it's dharana or dhyana. It's like it's one of the states of meditation that leads to, awakening, enlightenment, nirvana, whatever, when your focus becomes one-pointed. So the problem is that if your focus is not one-pointed, if you're just in a state of obsessiveness, it can feel like you're very concentrating, but what they're saying here is you're actually concentrating on you're obsessing, concentrating on too many things all at once, in all sorts of different directions. They're not getting anything done. They're watering you down, diluting your focus. And it's saying don't resist obsession. If you are an obsessive person, enjoy the obsession, but use your natural tendency, use your natural watery tendency to feel deeply into something to the point of obsession in order to focus your energy, focus your concentration, and then ultimately focus on it, whatever you're obsessing over, until it changes. So don't break your gaze. Or focus on it until you change, until you're like, what am I even looking at? But the idea is that you don't give yourself time to get bored, because you're moving from obsession to obsession to obsession to obsession to obsession to obsession. And it's the same four things, or it's four different things, but you move to them in a state of rhythm that, makes it seem like they're all different and makes so much good drama and intrigue and all this stuff. And the idea is, one thing at a time, focus on it until you do something about it, or until it does something to you, until something shifts, until something changes. Use the natural power of your obsession to turn it into focus, which leads to empowered choice. Love it. So simple, so not esoteric. I still my gaze and focus upon the task at hand. So I would say the challenge at hand, but the idea is you could also get obsessed with something glorious. It might feel great, but the idea is that still the obsession is not being focused enough, because it's like I focus on this great joy and pleasure, and now I focus on this, miserable trauma and pain, and I just keep bouncing from one to the next, 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 and it feels like this very engaging life, but nothing's actually changing, nothing's actually moving. That's sort of the space we're in this week, water creatures. So the affirmation to work with this, in addition to the groundedness of your, I am here, here I am, that deep, wonderful grounding of the root chakra as encouraged by the ether, we're adding, I still my gaze and focus upon the task at hand. So I am orienting myself to the circumstances that I am facing, that I am in the midst of, that I've moved through, that I am approaching. And in that space, I still my gaze and I focus upon the task at hand. So it's sort of similar to what we were talking about with the fire, where you are digging your heels in. But rather than digging your heels in and not changing, you're just focusing on something until you change or until it changes. So stilling your gaze as opposed to stilling yourself. Focusing on what you want to work with, rather than getting distracted to the point where you can't make any choices. I still my gaze and focus upon the task at hand. All my love. I'll see you next week. Ciao, bye.